just bought new underwear today. I brought less than I thought I brought, so.
That's always a nice feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you've been wearing the same pair for like, how many more days can I possibly wear this?
All right, well, I guess we'll start off. We're here with Greg Rekus.
Yo!
Causing a ruckus. Mm-hmm. Now, you tour, like, extensively, right?
Yeah, when I was in a band, like, all those years ago, we were called High Five Drive. We did quite a bit. I always said we toured more than any local band and less than any touring band, but we definitely, like, got our feet wet and we're on the road a lot. And then once I started the solo thing, I wanted that to be kind of the main focus of the act of, like, I'm going to be a touring artist. That's going to be the main way I promote it and do everything. And I just love the road. I don't know exactly what about it. I've made so many friends out there and love seeing them. And then also just the fact that you wake up and your job is to just drive to another place and play another show. It's like the greatest life I could ever imagine. And I think I got up to about 7 months of the year pre-COVID of how much I was on the road. And this year I'm hoping I could do quite a bit. This tour already has been mostly just canceled dates, and I've been saying it's kind of turned into an avant-garde camping trip where I'm just like staying on friends' floors and then driving to another friend and staying on their floor. But I do have a show tonight at Yuki Dog in Tofino, and Victoria tomorrow at Vinyl Envy. And then Vancouver, I don't believe is going to happen. The show itself got canceled, and I was frantically trying to get on something else. However, once I hit the United States, apparently COVID isn't happening there anymore. So every venue is still a go. So I'll at least get to play. But I am triple vaxxed. I've already had it over the holidays, so I feel I'm reasonably safe and hopefully not going to be a super spreader. Except for spreading fun and rock and roll.
Not licking any handles recently.
Not what?
Licking any handles.
Not licking any handles whatsoever. No. For the most part, I have even my own microphone that I've been singing through, which is very rare for me because I had one in the past, and one of two things happened. Either I get drunk, I forget to take it down, or someone borrows it and forgets to give it back to me. Either way, I have lost like 7 mics over the years, so I've given up having my own mic. However, I got a really nice one this time in hopes that would like make sure I give a shit, because for so long I didn't.
What kind of mic? Let's get geary.
It's a PR40. It's a Heil. Super nice. I originally actually got it just to kind of have it in a mic collection, because I'm also a live sound engineer. So I do sound for bands, and it's always nice to have a couple fancy mics in your own kit. And then I tried it on my voice, and it sounded awesome. Like, comparing it to a normal 58, it was like shocking how much clearer it was. So highly recommended it. I got it used for just over $300, and I think that's about the going price. And new, I think they're probably closer to $5, but I'm just pulling that out of thin air here.
Yeah, I have a few nice EV microphones, but they went missing after a few shows. They started to, so from then on, it was like, you're getting Behringer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically the size of it.
Now, you don't use, like, pedals when you play, right? It's generally just acoustic, and then you got the stomp box and the tambourine.
Yeah, I do have, there's a little bit more to it. I have a Sansamp Paradriver.
Oh, okay.
Has some EQ on it, so sometimes, going from kind of PA to PA and sound tech to sound tech, sometimes the guitar is just not sounding kind of like I want. So it's nice to have that extra level of kind of, you know what, I'm kind of looking more for this. And also it has a little bit of drive on it, just to remind people I'm punk rock and not just acoustic.
Yeah.
And then for the stomp box, this is a new thing this tour. I always had this tiny little mic, just in case you're playing a bigger venue. A lot of places I play, like, it doesn't need to be mic'd, it's fine like it is. But this little microphone, it's a 441 made by AKG. It's like a contact mic almost. And you put it on there, and then as I stomp, it kind of hears it. And if the sound tech really pumps up the low end, you get kind of a pretty good thud out of it. But it's very inconsistent. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my show, I'm kind of dancing all over the thing. I'm not stomping in one place. So I ended up finding this guitar pickup that would trigger a D4, that like super old trigger system from like the late 90s, early 2000s. A friend had one, they were just kind of getting rid of it. So I got it off them. And between those two and kind of sticking it under the stomp, you can get the trigger going. So that's kind of the low component, and then just put a mic on to kind of hear the cymbals and the stomp, stomp, stomp. So that's the secret of the stomp box.
Yeah, because I was thinking the normal kind of set, where I guess the more conventional setup for a one-man band type of thing is more the bass drum and the hi-hat doing the boom,
boom. Yeah, totally.
Hassel Adkins kind of thing. So I remember I actually saw you play. I'll get into this story. It's funny enough that I'm catching you on your way to Tofino. In 2018, I hitched out here and was in Tofino. You played the Mac Hotel.
Oh yeah, right.
So I was kind of like, that's hilarious how this is working out. I think I might have been talking with you at one point about possibly booking a show in Peterborough for the Punks on Pizza shows too.
Oh, right.
I think you were saying you usually book with Wayne Kennedy.
Yeah, Wayne's awesome. Like there we go, yeah. Holy moly, small little world. There's like 20 of us in the whole country that go to shows, I guess.
Yeah, but so okay, the bass drum and hi-hat, getting back to that. Why did you steer from that? You had to think a little outside the box.
Yeah, I like full disclosure, I definitely didn't invent stomping, and but I didn't invent the idea of the box with the tambourines on it. There was a band called Hoots and Hellmouth. They're from Philadelphia, and I think they're like actually gospel, like totally not like punk rock stuff. But like tons of energy when they play, and they had these things, and as they're playing in unison, they're all kind of dancing around on it, and I thought it was so cool. At the time, I had just come off of playing in like a skate punk band, wanted to start a solo thing, but like, okay, I don't want to be a singer-songwriter. Like there's so many of those, they're all like way better than I am, and they're not really like making it that much, right?
Fair enough.
Definitely don't want to be a DJ. Like, it's cool, hey, if you're a DJ, like don't email me and give me shit, but like, no, I don't want to be a DJ. And so when it came down to like, well, if I do a solo thing, it's got to be something kind of rowdy. And how do I like take what I do on stage when I was in a band and just compartmentalize it into like a solo thing? And after seeing Hoots and Hellmouth, I was like, that's it. Like, I just need to make this giant stomp box that I can just go crazy on when I play and still like finish it all sweaty and everything. And luckily, my friend and roommate at the time was a carpenter, so he kind of like threw something together, took it on tour, kicked my way through it like within 3 shows, brought it back to him. We doubled up the top part, kicked my way through it. We put a brace on the bottom. We just kicked my way through it again. Finally, after about a year of that, we were like, okay, we need a stomp box that's going to hold up for at least 1 tour. So we spent about $200 on this sheet of Baltic birch and cut it in half. He took half of it for whatever project he was going to do. We made the other half into the stomp box, and I have yet to kick my way through it. So
I was going to ask about that because currently right now it's attached to the top of your van soaking in the rain. And I was wondering if there had been any mishaps with the box or if this is a second or if there was an original.
Yeah, I mean, aside from me kicking my way through it, I've been pretty lucky. The top, like all the nails eventually broke and I had to replace them. It's like little maintenance things like that. But the one thing we figured out what was really happening is because when he built it, all the braces, so it's just like very simple box, 2 braces, the braces are right up against the top, so there was no flex. So when he built the next one, he put the braces down just to kind of hold the structure together, left about that much room, and that was enough that when I stomp, it can flex, so I'm not breaking the screws on those braces or the braces themselves. So that was the big upgrade of the new one. And in terms of weather, we like weather coated it with whatever the stuff is you buy at the store once. Never really did anything else. I know some people are like, do you want a tarp or something? And like, I couldn't imagine like trying to tie down a tarp. I already get pretty lousy gas mileage. Now you have like a down the highway for like, 13 hours through the mountains.
If the wind's going the right way.
True, then yeah, maybe it's a sail. But I did drive away from a show once with it not tied down. And it didn't even move. I didn't go very far, granted. If I went on the highway, I bet you would have fallen off. But yeah, it's pretty heavy, so it is. I feel it's relatively safe, and I have done probably close to 1 million kilometers on the road with it up there. So, if it happens tomorrow, then so be it.
Now it's just 2 tambourines. Right? They're not like the foot tambourines that you wear on your feet.
No. Yeah, they're a couple. I've taped a bunch of them together to kind of just make more jingle. I find you also, like, once they start to get old, they just don't sound as good. They get rusty and they don't sound as crisp. So every so often I buy a new one and just kind of add it to the mix. And I've also had, like, some of them I've stepped on and they broke or, like, they fell off the stage.
Oh, yeah.
never found it. Like fell in between the stage and the something, and
Somebody's got it, and they're like, it's great.
yeah, exactly. So if you ever find a tambourine, please give it back.
With a boot print on it. Now, touring, funny. Vancouver shows canceled, and then all the smaller towns, you're kind of still a go. What happened there in Vancouver?
So I'm not sure of all the details, and like not going on record, but just as far as I was told, they because I jumped on that show. It was a bit of a last minute thing. I had been talking to Landloose for a while, and I think the person I was we were all talking with, we kind of crossed our wires. Luckily, they were like, "Oh, there is room on that show after all, so you can jump on it." And then I think when it did get canceled, they just kind of maybe forgot I was on it or something, because I had emailed them. I was already writing people in Vancouver to say I'm coming. I emailed them just to see what time I should load in, and that's when they let me know it's not happening. One of the band members from the other bands got COVID, and thinking of it now, I should have like proposed the idea to maybe let me rebook a couple locals. Like I know a bunch of people in Vancouver. I bet you we could still throw something together. But it also might have been something to do with maybe the staff didn't feel it was safe or something else. And in these times, really, I don't want to push. Like if someone already feels a little bit strange about it, I don't want to be the one that pushes them over the edge to do it, and then they or someone gets COVID or gets sick, and then it's kind of on me because I kind of peer pressured them. So once they said it was canceled, like respect that, and I tried to book something else, and I think there's one place that still hasn't got back, but most places are already booked or canceled themselves.
Yeah, short notice like that in the big city.
In the best of times, short notice is tough right now. Trying to do it in like the worst of the pandemic in terms of numbers, but
now you're going to Seattle. Have you done the trip down south before?
Yeah, a bunch of times.
Yeah.
This January loop has kind of been, I really like it because not a lot of people are touring, and although like weather is a factor and not a lot of people are going out in January is where most people get their credit card bill from Christmas and they're like, holy shit, and like not going out for 2 months, I guess, and that kind of stuff. It is a harder month at the same time because not a lot of people are touring. A lot of the rooms that normally maybe I wouldn't even get a message back are kind of hurting for acts, especially someone on the road or someone who's been there a while. That's one reason why I love to do it in January. I kind of go all the way out to the island and then down the coast all the way, sometimes into Mexico, and then kind of just beeline it back. Usually a tour will end down south and then just take 2 or 3 days to do the giant drive back. I used to try to book my way back. Just found a lot of the places to play weren't the greatest shows, and it kind of ends up taking 5 days then. And I could have got 2 pretty fun shows in LA and then just like done with it. I'm just heading back versus the like trying to ease your way back and then it being kind of a lousy week.
Have you been in America since the beginning of the pandemic?
No, I was in America when the pandemic started. I was in Philadelphia actually. We didn't really notice any change in the attendance at the shows. Until the president, who will remain unnamed, made that announcement about like, shutting down Europe, can't go to Europe. And I think that's when it became real for a lot of people. And the next day we played, I'm trying to remember, Baltimore. And I'm not popular in Baltimore, but like every show is at least 20 people. Like it's, there's a bunch of people there. There's a cool scene. There was like 5 bands on the bill and 4 people paid at the door. And the owner of the bar had played there before. He was really cool and was like, don't worry about like the fee or whatever. Like, you keep the $20 and good luck.
Yeah.
Next night we played Washington, D.C. It was like a bar on the strip that's normally packed. Again, 10 people, like a couple threw in a few bucks to our jar. And then after that, we did Philadelphia. In Philadelphia, this place called Pharmacy is normally like 100 people drinking outside, like partying. The tiny room they have for shows is usually packed. So like there's always a decent payout. Like it's a really good place for shows. Philadelphia is awesome. And again, 4 people came. And that was the point where we were also like, a friend went for a hug and I was like, I really don't know if I have this. Like I'm kind of scared right now. Like it was working on us. The psychology definitely hit us pretty hard. And at that point, there was one last show. We said, okay, we'll do this house show because it's in kind of an isolated area. It's probably fine. And even that one, they were like, we don't want to do it. We're sorry. So a friend who we were staying with called over 3 friends, and in his basement we drank a handle of whiskey all together and like played a bunch of songs, and then that was that was the end of our tour. My friend Tim, who was with me from the UK, went. I drove him up to Connecticut, dropped him off with our friend Malcolm, who would then take him to JFK, and I just started driving back to Canada. And you know, in my head, like full panic had set in. And looking back on it now is kind of ridiculous, but at the time, I'm thinking, you know, if everyone is trying to get back, or say people start hoarding gas, which kind of happened, like, what if I'm driving and all of a sudden I hit a gas station and they're out of gas? Next gas station out of gas. Eventually, I run out of gas. Like, I could get stuck somewhere. So I was definitely like, I better get home, and I just drove like the 18 hours or 12 or whatever the drive was through the night. Finally, got across the border back into Niagara Falls, the Canada side, and I slept at the Flying J just in my van. I'm pretty set up, like it's pretty comfortable. But woke up in the morning, I went inside, and that was when like all the arrows started going on the floor of like, you must walk this way. And that was my first like, because in the States they had a pretty, I think, slow reaction in terms of that kind of stuff. Canada was a lot quicker for like mask mandates, etc. And that was the point where like, wow, like something is happening. Like this isn't just localized. This wasn't just like everyone where I was panicking. Like, I have driven 18 hours, and where I landed, everyone is panicking also. And yeah, I ended up quarantining back to back, because after doing my 2 weeks in Ontario, my partner and I went back to Winnipeg, moving her there, which was going to happen after the tour anyways. And I had to quarantine again, so I did a month of quarantine, and then we were able to find an apartment, like the ultimate plan we had. And I just kind of drank beer through the whole thing until now.
And that kept you COVID free.
Yeah.
There it is, right there.
Yeah.
No, the girlfriend and I, we caught COVID back in May last year before moving out here. Now, how was that for you? Like catching it, getting tested, all that, the symptoms.
Yeah, for me, I was triple vaxxed, and I got it over the holidays. And after I tested and got it, I was like, wow, like I would be shocked if this was COVID. I kept thinking, like, I have virtually zero symptoms. And I'm not trying to, like, some people got really sick. I'm not trying to downplay it. But my own personal experience was like, wow, like, good thing I'm triple vaxxed, like, or whatever, good thing I'm healthy. Because for me, it was a slight cough that lasted about 5 days. And then after that, like, I'd wake up and maybe blow my nose once, and then for the rest of the day it was fine. And same thing, maybe I coughed in the morning, and I had stopped hitting the bong, because I was like, usually if I smoke in the evening, I'll cough a bit, and it was like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. So I had a pretty minor experience, and then after the 10 days, a handful of these dates on these tour were canceling. The border is, I think it's closed to like, I don't even know if it's close to anything. Like, you could still go on a holiday, right? I think it's recommended you only do essential travel. You don't do non-essential travel, but I think if you want to go down for a holiday, you're still allowed to, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know if that flight out of Montreal changed anything, if you saw any of that footage.
No, I didn't see what happened.
There's like a plane full of people that were all going on vacation South America somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's footage that's popped up. They're all vaping, like no mask. Somebody brought on like a USB rave light, and just flight attendants can do nothing. It looks like a party limo bus.
Wow.
And they were like, all right, charges are going to be laid, but then they land in South America, and they're like, we're not charging them. They're spending money here.
Yeah.
And Montreal's like, well, when you come back. So that might have botched something, but look at that. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. Like I mean, I'm gonna take all the precautions. I'll keep wearing my mask, because when I go into venues and stuff, and I'll do what I can to try to keep everyone safe. But I've also been trying to like, look, if you are concerned at all, don't come to the show. Like, come see me in the fall time. Maybe it'll be safer then.
Yeah.
If you've already had it, or if you're vaccinated, or if you're like, and don't care for whatever reason, then come on down. I think most people too, like, if you, in the middle of the pandemic, if you go to a bar with no mask, hanging out with everyone, and then you find out you tested COVID positive, like, like, that shouldn't be that much of a shock right now. So hopefully people are just smart, and then the shows are still safe, and no one gets seriously sick, and we can still do all the dates and have a good time, because Lord knows 2 years is too long to hit the pause button for what you do.
No, I hear you there. Were there any house shows recently since the pandemic that you played?
There is one kind of smaller one. It's a jam room show, invite only, but no, nothing yet. No, nothing in Canada. Did play a garage at some point during the pandemic, but I don't know if that counts. That was a while ago, and that was also like in Winnipeg. We had a very different experience. Our numbers, we did have a few spikes. For the most part, our numbers were low, and hospitalizations were low. And summertime, like we were doing outdoor concerts virtually all summer. We started doing indoor stuff in the fall. Like I saw Propaganda in the Park Theater. There was like 300 something people there. Like, you know, just it felt like a normal show. We all still had masks on, but it was still like very much back to normal in a lot of ways. And then this recent wave really like knocked that back a few pegs. But it seems it's going so fast that I'm hopeful that maybe this will be is looking like something towards the end of it, because I also have many dates booked in the spring. I have Midwest dates with Tim, the East Coast, and then we fly from Montreal to Europe, and then we're there for, geez, like 6 weeks in Europe or something, and then I come back hoping to do Pooza Fest in Montreal. So there's a lot of stuff still booked. So I'm really anxiously, optimistically watching it, hoping it doesn't really get worse and we go even back to more restrictions, but.
Yeah, and I mean, being from Ontario, things kind of loosened, and then they just went back a few steps there. And there was a few shows during the lenient period, and then when I moved out here, it was like Texas. Nobody was wearing masks anywhere, and it was kind of like jarring, and we were still like, should we be? And then it went back to masks being mandatory out here.
Right.
But I saw Dayglow Abortions at an outdoor gig here, and it was great, and there was nothing that big going on in Ontario. I put together a show at a bar during the couple weeks that we could. It was a full bar, it was a tiny bar, the Garnet in Peterborough, if you've ever been there.
No, I don't think so. I played a couple places there. It's a really neat spot, and my partner Katie is from there. She did me a couple of shows at that place that closed. The stage was kind of right by the door.
Spill.
Yeah. That was a really neat spot. I really like there and miss it and stuff.
Yeah, that was 2016. It closed down.
Oh my God, it can't have been that long already.
I know, right?
Jesus.
Age.
Yeah.
What are the venues that you look forward to going through when you pass through each province? There's one in particular that you make an effort to secure?
Yeah.
Start with the home province and move from there.
Right. So the Park Theater is doing really cool stuff in Winnipeg right now. I really like playing there. And then there's a smaller place called the Handsome Daughter. Like that place too. It's like the right size. It's like okay sound system, and it's central, so everyone can make it.
I love the name.
Yeah. And then there's also this place called Sucrums. They're a brewery, and I've only played there once, maybe twice. I think just once. But if it's just like a solo thing, it's a great spot for that. The owner's really, really cool. And at the end of February for Tim and I's tour, everything's kind of crazy right now, but I'm hoping to maybe do something there. To try to kick that one off. And then one province over in Saskatoon, there's a place called the Black Cat Tavern, and they've always taken really good care of me. I think there's been like 5 or 6 different owners since I started playing there when I first started touring. But it's a really neat room, and like sound dude's always nice. They always get you something. In Regina, I was going to play this new place called Lancaster. And I played their other location. They just opened one downtown, and they were really good too. They were one of those places where like you got to do a couple sets, you got to pepper in some covers, but they always paid really well and fed you and everything. And then Moose Jaw, I was actually going to do a house show at Moose Jaw, but that was during my quarantine period of having COVID towards the end of it. So we made the call to pull the plug. I hope we do it again. But there was this really neat sushi restaurant there that I've been doing the last couple times. I can't remember what it's called, Mitsu Cafe or something like that. Like you walk in, you're like, no way, this is the place. And then sure enough, they'll like move a table and they'll set you up. And I think they even have like a little sound system. And then in Alberta, the Buckingham in Edmonton has been my spot there for a couple of years. They have an amazing vegan menu, and it's always a good show. Even if it's a Tuesday, there's like a built-in audience already, and they always like end up giving you a shocking amount of money, so they're really, really generous. In Calgary, I played a bunch of places. The Palomino was where I was supposed to play on this one that fell through, and had a pretty good time there. And then there's a hot dog place called Tubby Dog. I really like playing there. I think I might have heard they're not doing as many shows anymore, but they'll like give you a hot dog and they'll charge cover for you, so they'll like make you some money. And they got all this weird memorabilia all over the place and arcades. Like it's a rad spot. If you ever go to Calgary, it's on 17th. Definitely check out Tubby Dog. And then the Owl Acoustic Lounge in Lethbridge. I think I've been playing every tour since I first started touring. The guy there, Stephen, that owns it, plays himself, and that was one of the few dates that didn't get canceled. And he really hustled to like bring out our friends, and brought the jug around a few times. People in the audience were really generous because you're not playing a lot of shows and doing all this driving. It's really chipping into that bottom line. So when venues acknowledge that and go that extra kilometer to like hook you up, it's really cool. I'm feel really lucky that I know that dude and that I've been playing there. And then Kelowna, I played the Fed a bunch. This time I played Fire Hall Brewery in Oliver, BC. That's one of the other places that didn't cancel, and they were really cool. Again, they like hooked me up with some free drinks, and yeah, it wasn't a large crowd, but they made it a party still. And Vancouver, Lanaluz is the place I've played probably the most, and but I've also done like Pub 340 before, and Pat's Pub, I think is what I did last time I was in town in 2020. And there's a bunch of places in Vancouver that are all pretty good. SBC, I think, isn't around anymore. I think there was a bit of a tragedy that happened that we won't get into, but that was a really neat place. Maybe other places that I played, that was kind of the most memorable. Every place has been really good, but that was like a giant skateboard ramp and just this big raw space.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah. And then Victoria, I played Logan's a couple times. I really liked it there, and I'm kind of sad to see it go. And then the Copper Owl, which I think is also gone. I had done that a bunch of times. This is my first time at Vinyl Envy, where I'm playing tomorrow. And they were really, really cool. They're a neat record shop and like really hooked it up with the show. And I think it'll be a really good one. And then Tofino, you saw me at the Mac Hotel.
Yeah.
And when I wrote them this time, they said they're not really doing solo people anymore. And I was trying to hint like, well, no, like I'm not like your typical solo person. Because I think they just have a lot of like singer-songwriters that are doing like Sublime covers and like, just kind of don't bring any of their buds. And
Yeah.
nothing against those people. If you're one of those people, do not email me and give me shit. It's cool if you're those people, but
No, if you play free fall and solo acoustic or anything like Wish You Were Here, any of that shit that everybody plays, I think you suck.
Okay,
you can write me about it.
We can say, write us. We're gonna take you on, motherfucker. Anyways, so that and the place I'm playing now, I'm really excited. I want to kind of try to meet more people there because the scene there, from what I did, the first time I played Jamie's Rainforest Pub, it was like, oh, there's a cool little scene here. And then I think the next time I came, I wasn't able to get something. And then the time after that, I think was the Mac Hotel. And then the time after that, I couldn't get something. So I haven't really met that person there. That's just like anytime you're in town, let us know. We'll hook you up and we'll see how tomorrow goes.
Do you ever stop in at Pools Land during your Tofino visits?
No, every time I go there, I end up just kind of going to the venue, loading in. I do the show and like hang out with people around there. And I've gone down to the docks and we had like drinks on the docks after the show. It was really fun, but haven't really got to explore the town much. What's it called?
It's over now, but it was like a commune. Vice did a thing on it. Michael Poole. It was like $10 a day to set up camp there, so it was a viable option. That wasn't a resort for anybody that was in there.
Right.
And it was like the Lost Boys and Peter Pan.
Oh.
Like, that's the best way to describe it, how everybody was set up. But they always put on like little shows and had huge fires and tons of people. So I didn't know. It seemed like something you would have done.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of sorry I missed it, but it's hard. When you're not from there, it's hard to meet the right people. And the gig I'm doing tonight is a perfect example of kind of how I got to where I am, to be able to book like an international tour with just an email address. Is like my first US tour, I knew like 2 or 3 people that had come to Canada before, or friends of friends. And from that, I was able to get like 3 or 4 shows out of 20 days. And when I got to a town, I just like, where's the open mic night? And you go and you play it. And more than half the time it was a waste of time. But, 3 out of 10 times you meet someone who's like, my friend is exactly like you. Here's their name, and from there now you kind of got a contact. You come back next time, maybe you're actually able to get a real show, and then from there, if you meet more people, maybe next time people are actually wanting you to come back and excited about it. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping tonight is that the dudes at Yuki Dog are stoked I'm coming, and like we have a good time together, and maybe next time maybe we can set up something more like a formal show, and or even if not, maybe I'll meet someone who's like, dude, next time you come back, the fall time or whenever it is, let me know, and it's gonna be a good show, and so we'll see.
Well, for the spring and summer, I plan on putting on shows just in my backyard, like building a stage out of skids, getting this shit out there to do that. Just because when I got here, everybody was like, "There's no real music scene. There's a place for hip hop shows like a block away from here." I talked to them; they're not entirely against having bands. They just haven't.
Yeah.
And it's not too busy of a town. But it's a place that I think everybody touring should be stopping in, but there should be a place they can do that, obviously, because you have to go through here to go to Tofino. It's Central Island. It should definitely see more action than it does.
Yeah, well, myself, like when I come to the island, I don't just want to do Vancouver because the ferry's kind of pricey. I mean, it's I found if you book in advance, you actually save money. Whereas when I first started coming here, if you booked in advance, it was more expensive. But definitely to try to do 3 or 4 shows, like I only know Victoria, Nanaimo, and Tofino really, and to have another place, like I think it's a great idea. I've summertime is the one time I don't tour because I work in audio, and I'm also in film. So between that, summertime is really busy. That's when I work and make money and save it. And then when I go and do this, I have that bit of buffer. So if let's say you do a tour where all the dates fall through, or if the van explodes, you have money to pay for that and fix it and keep going. And Winnipeg is a great summer place. It's a great time to be in the summer. The weather's really nice, and all the festivals are super duper fun. And then the rest of the year is okay, and that's kind of when I tour. So I feel like Winnipeg is a really good home base for that reason. That I've kind of cherry picked the times I really want to be there.
I hitched through Winnipeg, like right by it. I spent no time in there. I remember my buddy who I was hitching with, we got dropped off on the highway just outside. The guy goes, "Do you want to get dropped off on the perimeter?" And we're like, "Sure." Like the highway outside of town. And we were there, my buddy's like, "It's the murder capital of Canada. We're not going there." And I was like, I don't think it's that bad.
No, it's. I think a lot of the time we love when those rumors come up because it keeps the rent cheap. Less people want to move there. But it's a city of like 800,000 people. It has an IKEA, like it has all the things that normal big cities have. And the film industry recently came there, which I've taken advantage of, and I'm trying to get more into that. But there's cool venues there. It's a neat spot, and it's a place where you can still buy a house for like 250,000. Where I know is most other places in Canada are just kind of off the charts right now. And it is cold in the winter. It is kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I mean, if you're one of those people that like every weekend you want to go driving out to, camping or something, there's tons of places to go camping. There's 2 gigantic lakes. It's got everything everywhere else does. And I think its reputation, like I said, being someone who lives there, I don't mind because then it kind of stays ours. We don't have to share it with everyone.
That's how I feel about this place, Port Alberni. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you saw, there was a big write-up a few years ago about this being the worst place to live in Canada.
Oh, no, I didn't. That's hilarious.
And,
you beat us, did you?
If you go to Twin City Brewery there, they have like worst sausage ever. And like people just have fun with it. But same thing, it kept property values lower. But this year, I think things started to really peak just because the island in itself is, people want to move out here. Right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I get it. Like everywhere you look, it's like the most amazing sight I've ever seen. So I don't like just the fact that almost all the snow is gone and we're not even out of January. Like Winnipeg has so much more weeks of snow still to go.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not surprised housing prices are kind of still skyrocketing. They're going up everywhere, right? But yeah, Winnipeg is just less desirable.
You said it's off topic from the music, but we'll get into it a little bit. You said film industry work. Did you ever do anything in Vancouver in that regard?
No. I've only ever lived in Winnipeg and worked. It is like, I mean, the nice thing about film, if assuming that I do get better at it, because I'm still kind of learning, is that you can do it in so many places. Like Vancouver is huge. Everyone keeps telling me. Like in Winnipeg, at one point, I think we had five things shooting, like five movies or shows or whatever. And my friend was like, "Oh yeah, like Vancouver, there's like 80 always shooting." It's like a number that was I didn't believe it. Like maybe I exaggerated, but there's so much work. So if you're keen on doing it, it would be like one potential place to do it. And then I think Toronto and Montreal, I think they also have like things are shooting there and such. And
Toronto's the cheap Detroit.
oh,
It doubles for Detroit a lot.
right.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I don't know exactly what they're using Winnipeg for, why it's become desirable, or if there's just so much content being created now because people are consuming it so fast that they're like, well, everywhere is busy. Here's a place no one is shooting, and then I think Winnipeg is giving a tax credit, so it was like just enough to kind of get a few places, get their foot in the door with starting film. But I like it. I'm in the electrics department. Everyone's really, really cool. I've only been on one shoot. Like I said, I'm just at the start of it, but yeah, I hope to do more this summer. And of course, still audio. I love doing audio. That's my second passion outside of playing and touring is to mix a band and set up some mics and stuff.
I might need a hand then. I got a couple of recordings with. I was playing bass with a drummer before I left, and the guy, I won't say the studio, the guy that owns the studio, he gave them to me for free, and he's like, "The apprentice had the mics wrong. I'm so sorry. Can we get you in again to do it?" And I was like, "We're playing a show tonight, and then tomorrow we're driving to Belleville. It's about 2 hours, a decent hike, and then to play another show, and then after that I'm moving to Vancouver Island. So I mean, there's no room to do this." And he was so beat up. He's like, "Just please don't tell anybody that it was done."
Oh no, yeah.
It was pretty good, and I've been like scrambling with it, but there's only so much you can do with something that's already recorded, right?
Yeah, when it comes to recording, I'm more of a live tech, and I always say like live sound versus recording is like farming and cooking. You both deal with food, but in different ways. And there's like similar principles in terms of miking techniques and stuff, but how you might approach the mix, or a lot of live is troubleshooting and kind of getting the rig going, where recording is a lot more attention to detail. But if I can help, I'd love to help. I feel I have a pretty good ear. I'm pretty good at mixing stuff, but I've just so little experience in recording. I actually did, when we were locked up in quarantine, aside from drinking beer, I started a YouTube channel called Far From Gregular. I just kind of like researched stuff I was interested in. A lot of it was on music or sciencey stuff or video games, retro video games and whatever. And it was really fun. It kind of kept me going. And one of them I did on how I became a sound tech. I kind of tell the origin story of it.
And so that's different than the Greg Rekus YouTube channel.
It is, yeah. That one's just music. I did some stuff just in the jam space and posted my like formal videos. I've kind of abandoned the whole music video thing at a point where it's probably bigger than ever. I'm probably the biggest idiot, but I just found out like it's so expensive to stay on the road and tour and kind of do it that way. There's very little money for anything else. And to tour less to make a video and then find like, oh cool, like 158 people watch this. Or I could have toured for the $3,000 that we spent on this thing. I could have toured for like 3 months and probably sold that many records, like one at a time to everyone just hustling. So I've kind of given up on music videos and stuff, but yeah, the YouTube channel was kind of a different thing, and it was just something to just break the cabin fever, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I think got pretty good at recording, but I would start on Monday, I'd research and write the script. Tuesday, I'd shoot the footage, start cutting it up. By Wednesday and Thursday, I kind of had something pretty close. I was adding my B-roll, and then Friday, finish up whatever I have to do. And so I was banging out about one a week, but it was like 8 hours a day. It felt like a full-time job. And then sometimes, you finally get it all done. You work your ass off. you post it and it has 16 views. You're like, do I post about it again? Like, what do I do?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it like shows, right? I mean, if you look at the event page for a show on Facebook, it may say 40 people are going, 14 may show up.
Yeah.
It's kind of a crapshoot, you know. If you enjoy doing it, I'd say don't get discouraged, you know.
Yeah, I've had to put it aside now that I'm back on the road again. And I never did it thinking it would be financially successful.
Yeah.
That was like way in the back of my mind of like maybe, because when I love watching them. I will watch them myself just because sometimes I kind of forget what I researched and have to like, what was that thing I said again?
So how many of those 18 views count?
Yeah, exactly. They're like 17 or me just. But anyways, so the one that actually did get kind of some success was one I did on the producer Ryan Green. Ryan Green produced all that Fat Record stuff in the '90s. And he was kind of the one who made up that punk sound. And doing some research, I found out he had done a Megadeth album earlier on, and he was one of these like child prodigies, like. And by a teenager, he's already like mixing big venues. By 20, he's already doing records for RCA. And he did this Megadeth record that I think he drew a lot of the inspiration in terms of tones of the drums on Fat Record stuff, the guitar tones, and how he approached the mix. And listening to kind of like No Effects, I don't know if you know the band at all.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows them. Their White Trash Two Heaves in a Bean record versus the Punk and Drublick record. Like, Punk and Drublick is way better mixed. It's just such an upgrade in so many ways. That was the first one they did with Ryan Green, and I think that was like he started it, a lot of what that sound kind of became, and played kind of a focal role. There was a lot of reasons why that made a splash in the '90s, right? There was a lot of things that were just in place. However, I think his role was gigantic, and a lot of times people don't really know about it. And that was the one video I did that actually got picked up by the algorithm and was getting 100 views a day. And then at about 6,000 is when I guess they dropped it. And by that point, I wasn't really making new videos. And maybe if I was, maybe I could have tried to catapult something off of that. But that's the other part too, I think, is when you have a YouTube channel or anything online, you got to be really good at doing online stuff. And for me, like, I'm just so, like, touring again, that's kind of my main gig. And it takes so much time. And then aside from that, working a job, there's no time to really get good at the internet, nor do I really want it that bad. I kind of like still hanging out with people in person, and not dissing anyone who is very good at the internet, because I know there's people that are like hella successful by posting a couple clever videos, and they got the world's attention all of a sudden, and I really admire that. But for me, I'm still gonna jump in the van and drive somewhere and make a bunch of noise.
All right, I got a couple more questions for you, and then we'll wrap it up, because I hear things are starting to get hectic.
Yeah. The dog is concerned. She is very concerned.
I don't think he's concerned at all. No. Okay, merch. Now, when I was playing in bands and when I was booking shows, I used to book like 7 bands a night, because I was booking for a pizzeria that was open till 4 in the morning. So I would just cram as many in, and I would forewarn everybody, like, the door is gonna suck. There's 7 of you. Bring as much merch as you can, because like that's where you're gonna really make bank touring these days.
Yeah.
Especially if you're just taking the door and you're on a bill with other people, like, you're most likely not even profiting if you've got to drive any distance to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
What merch do you bring with you?
So for me, I have shirts. And what was really important to me when I first started doing the solo thing, I was like, I don't want to just get like the Gildan shirts that were made in Bangladesh or whatever. I want to try to like do something more ethical or more environmental or more whatever. And so I found out about American Apparel, and their shirts were more expensive. However, they apparently were sweat-free, and they treated their employees well. And so I was buying those, and I was making a lot less money on shirts, to the point where, someone does you a show, and they're like, oh, that was really great, thank you. I want to give you something. Do you want a shirt? So you were kind of just giving away your profit. So I never made anything on shirts. And then it got worse when I found out American Apparel was bullshit anyways. I found this company in Montreal that did ethical shirts, and they were like a unionized factory, organic cotton. So I put in an order, and $2,000 later, I had 35 shirts. and I printed my name on them. I sold them for $40 each, and people actually did buy them because when they were like, "Oh, these are really nice. They're ethical." Blah blah blah. They did respect that. However, again, I gave away one or two, and I think I lost money
Yeah.
trying to print 35 shirts. So what I started doing now is I just go to a Value Village and just buy blank shirts, get a friend to screen print them, and then I sell those for $15. And that way it's like, well, these are already made. Like if no one bought them at value, they would have got thrown out or something. So I feel it still kind of gets that ethical component. And the other thing that's neat is every single shirt is unique.
That's recycling. 100%.
Exactly. One of them was even like a Tommy Hilfiger shirt. So if you want a Tommy Hilfiger Greg Rekus shirt, the one exists. And so I have this little rack I set up, and I can fit about 50 shirts on there, so people can actually go through and like pick out their faves. People even bought two because they were like, "Oh, I really like this one, but this one's really cool." So I thought this is kind of my first good idea in a long time for merch. And then I have vinyl on all my records, but that's another one where, yeah, God, it was so expensive to record and press vinyl that by the time I sell them all, I'm breaking even at best. So for me, merch has never been a big money maker. But again, being a solo dude, let's say there is this happens a lot in the States, also in Canada, but the States has always been really generous where, okay, we got $50 at the door, there's 3 locals and 1 touring guy. Here's the money, you just take it.
Yeah.
So I've been pretty lucky that like the costs to tour are covered, and then after that, like, yeah, I eat for pretty cheap. You know, I have $10 to kind of buy some groceries and cook something in my little van cooker and kind of keep going. So I've been lucky in that sense. But
Alright. Where did you get the records pressed? Who pressed them?
this place called Furnace Record Pressing, and it's in West Virginia. And friend of a friend is how I found out. They've been good to me. I don't know if they're necessarily the best or the cheapest, but I have no complaints. They very easy to deal with. Turnaround time, they nailed the deadline. I think they even came before it, and they came in cheaper than the one quote I got from my friend in Canada. However, I have heard that there's a really cheap place apparently on the island or something. And I don't know if
records pressed?
yeah, or somebody that like he's got the deal, he's got the hookup somehow, and he can even do small runs. Because that's the other thing is my Sibling Cities record, I did 300 records, selling them at $20 a record, and I sold them at a loss. I lost money on every single record, never mind the recording cost itself, because I didn't press enough. So then when I did Punkoustic on vinyl and my latest album, Death and Taxes, I did 500 of each of those. And that's a lot of records. Like I'm going to be selling those for the rest of my career, right? Finally, if I hustle my ass off, finally I'll probably get.
How much are they going for?
$20. And at that, I'm making a little bit. I'm making like $2.50, $3 per record. But you know, again, you give away one, and you're like, shit, that's the profit from like 5 records.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of a losing battle for me. Merch has never been a big money maker, and I mean, maybe as time will go, maybe people will start being, you know, cool with like a $30 vinyl, but I want people to buy it too, right? I'm not like a big band. Bigger bands can charge like $80 for a t-shirt and people are stoked. For me, I'd rather people buy it and then kind of just break even at best than raise the prices in hopes of making something and it kind of just blows up in my face. But
yeah, have you opened for B.A. Johnston before?
I haven't, and I'm a big fan. I love his music, and I think I've written him before just to try to like extend that olive branch to like we're 2 solo guys, like middle-aged solo guys that tour a lot. Like, do you ever want to do a tour together, or can we at least do a show or something? And I don't think I've ever heard back, but I also maybe I never hit the send because I was like, oh, he's gonna say no or something. But
no, he's super approachable, and even if you could just put a show together in Winnipeg on his way through, he would do it. 100%, he's super cool. But no, I mean, like he charges like $10 for colored vinyl, and I have no idea like how he can get away with that, because I looked into it and it's like even if you're pressing thousands of vinyl, they're around $10 a piece at the minimum. Like, and it was a while. So no, I was just curious about the plant that you used to do yours. I'll probably grab a couple for you. Can I e-transfer you?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, anyone can, by the way.
You ship?
I would ship, yeah.
All right. Is there a? I guess this will wrap it up with plugs. Is there a Bandcamp? There a Facebook page? A YouTube page? All that business.
There is, yeah. The Bandcamp is a little bit complicated because I made one and then I got locked out of it and I wasn't able to regain access to it. So I made another, and the other's been around for longer. But some people tell me when they search Greg Rekus Bandcamp, they find the old one. So Bandcamp, just keep finding until you find the one with all the records on it, and you can buy the stuff on there. I try hard to leave a couple records at the local record store in every place I play if there is one. So often, if you go to whatever hit record store, email me, I could just tell you where to go and you can get a physical copy there. Or again, if you want to transfer me some money plus shipping, I'm more than happy to throw it in the post. When I'm home, it's easier because I have cardboard that I can make a little carrier. On the road, it's a bit harder to like ship it safely.
Back to B.A. Johnson. I've had packages arrive from him in cereal boxes.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's always an option. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was super fun. I was hanging out and talking.
No problem. So Greg Rekus is going to be in Tofino tonight.
Victoria tomorrow, and then all over the West Coast in the States later this month.
Down in America.
Yeah.
All right, man. It was good having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.